Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick.
I'm Ian.
Today we're talking about how our record buying habits have really kind of changed over the last few years. There's a bunch of links down below. Make sure you check them out. There's links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlists we put together every week, the Patreon page. Make sure you go check all that out. Of course, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give us the old thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time we release new episodes. I think the biggest thing for me over the last probably 4 or 5 years is I think the pandemic really changed my listening habits, because I think it really kind of helped me broaden my listening. I started listening to a lot more jazz over the last couple of years, and I started getting into some blues also. And I think, like I said, I think the pandemic really did that because there was nothing else to do. So I had more free time to kind of check out new and interesting stuff. I don't know if that was the same case for you, or
I'm always looking for new stuff. I don't think the pandemic affected that in any way.
Yeah.
I don't think it was more or less in either direction.
I'll say that I definitely am more open now than what I was prior to 2020. I think over the last couple of years, it's definitely pushed me to try to track down more new and interesting stuff than I did before that period.
I would say just in general, vinyl collecting has probably done that for me anyway.
Yeah.
Just in general. I don't think the pandemic pushed me in any direction, or it pushed me any more towards that direction.
Yeah.
But it hasn't translated into purchases. I can tell you that.
It has for me.
Yeah.
Like I said, especially with jazz, it wasn't that I didn't like jazz. It was just I never really got into it. But I had that more time on my hands. Obviously, we all did, to kind of really track down some of that stuff that I had never checked out before.
Well, some new releases too, or reissues. The UHQRs of Coltrane. Was it Coltrane recordings?
No, that kind of blew by Miles Davis.
Oh, Miles Davis. Okay, so I mean that helps too when you have like reissues that are worth looking into, even if they're a little on the pricier side.
Yeah.
Can entice you to expand your horizons beyond that. Too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as far as my vinyl habits have gone, anything that's changed really for me is the cost has gone up, which has required me to buy less. I buy more CDs now than I buy records.
Yeah.
Just because, unless it's something that is like my top tier bands that are for me, I'm just going to get the CD.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people out there like that also. I mean, now that a lot of new releases are, $35 to $45 plus, I completely see that. And there's a lot of people out there that have gone through that same thing. I'm seeing a lot of people online kind of rediscovering CDs because you can get a new CD for $12 to $16 compared to $35 to $45.
Just don't tell the record companies, because in 5 years there'll be like $50 a piece,
Yeah.
and then then you're just back to streaming again because no one can afford to buy any of it.
I will say that I have seen an increase in CD prices over the last couple of years also, because I would say prior to back in 2019, early part of 2020, I was getting new CDs for $10 to $12, and now they're a lot of them are $14 to $16 to $17 for a new CD.
17s is the most I'll go on a CD, unless it's multiple discs.
Yeah.
But as a rule, most of those CDs I've bought have been in no more than $15.
Yeah. I will say that even with all these price increases, you really haven't seen an increase in the cost of manufacturing.
Right.
To process a single LP is still $6 to $7. To process a double is going to be $13 to maybe $14 or $15. So when you're seeing them now priced at, there was a reissue of a Twisted Sister album that's going for $75 as a reissue. It's just insane.
And it's a double album, correct?
It's a double album.
Which it really doesn't need to be a double album. The original was perfectly timed. Under the Blade, I think, is less than 40 minutes, or just around 40 minutes long. And it's a good album. I would consider buying it because I like that the Twisted Sister catalog.
Not for $75 though.
Stay Hungry and Under the Blade are the two good ones. Yeah, I would never. Honestly, I wouldn't pay $40 for it.
Yeah.
Just because it's not Stay Hungry. I might pay $40 for a good version of Stay Hungry.
Yeah.
But even that I haven't done.
Yeah.
You know, I own an original pressing of that.
I think kind of feeding off of the whole price thing, outside of, I guess, I still buy records. I still buy records pretty regularly. I buy a lot of CDs also. I've also really started doing where I'm buying a CD and the vinyl release when the album comes out, is I've rediscovered how much I love CDs. I mean, CDs sound fantastic. I primarily listen to CDs in my car. I'm trying to kind of get away from streaming. You know, I still stream probably stream 55 or 60% of the time. I've really gotten into CDs over the last couple of years. It's price-wise, and I understand there's a big price difference, as we've talked about. They just sound great. They sound incredible. If my option is a CD or streaming, I'm going to listen to a CD all the time. They just sound so much better than what you're getting off of most streaming services.
Since I started rebuying CDs, my streaming usage has probably dropped like 60 or 70%.
No.
To be honest with you, because I'd just much rather listen to it on CD. I use streaming just to, if something new.
It's a tool.
It's a tool. I'll hear a few tracks. Okay, I'm going to buy that album.
Yeah.
And then I buy the CD, and that's where I listen to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my streaming has dropped considerably with CD usage.
Another thing, I guess this is probably more of a, because I'm so far along in my record collecting, is I'm not really as big of a completionist now that I was, say, earlier in my record buying. If I really loved a band, I had to have all their albums, even if I didn't like a couple of them. I would buy them just to have them. And now I'm a little bit more selective. And maybe that is because of the price difference that we've seen, the price increases over the last few years. But I'm not buying, if I really love a band, I'll buy their albums that I really love. Or if I'm a casual fan of the band,
just get a greatest hits.
I'm just going to get a greatest hits compilation.
Yeah. And that's kind of always been, but if I don't like the band enough to want their whole catalog, they're probably not a band that I like anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm not even sure if I would go as far as to say that. I'm still a completionist, and it actually bothers me that I'm not buying records, but I just can't justify the cost.
Yeah.
I would much rather be buying both CD and record, and to me it makes sense to the record company to lower their prices so that people can do that, because a lot of collectors are doing that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so if you're charging a reasonable price for both, you're selling 2 copies. You're selling 2 physical copies. Whereas now
and there's a lot of people that are doing that.
And now with the way the prices are, you're selling 1 or none.
Yeah.
I love Metallica. I'm a completionist. I still haven't bought 72 Seasons on vinyl. I have it on CD. I still haven't bought it on vinyl.
I got a couple of copies behind you.
Some of us are flush with cash.
Whatever.
Alice Cooper's new album. I bought it on CD. At time of recording, I may have bought it on vinyl, but I still haven't bought that on vinyl as of right now. So, and these are albums that I would have before only bought on vinyl maybe. But, I moving to CDs. If the prices were more reasonable, it would not be difficult for me to buy them both.
Yeah.
With everything I buy, and it's just too expensive right now for me to do that.
Yeah. I guess lastly, and I guess this is probably because I guess I've reached a point in my record collection where
there's not much left for me to buy.
There's not a lot left for me to buy. I kind of feel like I did a whole video on it a while back, where I kind of feel like my record collection for me is kind of complete. So I'm at a point now where I really don't buy used records anymore. I think I just bought one, within the last week. It's probably the first used record I bought probably this year.
And it's technically like a new used. It's not even that. It's not like an old school 70s pressing. It's a newer album.
It's a 2021 album. So it's not something that was like from years and years ago. I take that back. I think there were 2 other used records I bought this year. But a vast majority, like 98% of all the records I buy, are new releases. Because that's just kind of where I am in my record collection. Yeah. I'll buy new releases, or I'll buy represses of older albums.
Right. And to play devil's advocate to a small degree, it's not just the record companies that make it a problem. So if you don't go out and buy a new release right away, there's a chance it's going to be twice as much a month from now or 6 months from now.
Well,
because they've sold out. Now they're pressing more.
I'll
and
say
people are
that-
collecting them.
I will say that
flipping them.
that has become less of an issue because records have gotten more expensive. I think people are buying them, buying less of them. So, and also when new releases a couple of years ago, they might only press 1,500, maybe 2,000 or 3,000 copies, where it's kind of standard now for them to press at least 4,000 or 5,000 copies of it. Even if the band and label kind of sits on it for a little while, they know they'll eventually sell them.
Right.
So you're seeing less and less of those like really small number of exclusive releases coming out, where you're getting that, people are going out and buying it just because they think they might miss out on having that opportunity later online.
It just has happened to me so many times, in the past. And I guess looking back at it, you're right. It's older.
Yeah.
Beginning of the resurgence.
Yeah. Well, that's all we got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Make sure you drop us a comment down below. Let us know what you guys think, how your habits have changed over the years. Because I'm sure there's probably a lot of you guys out there. They're in the same boat as we are. How there's just what we were doing 5 years ago is completely different than what we're doing now. But let us know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give us a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. That's all we got. Until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Keep on spinning. Peace.